Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, episode 127. NBA season continues, and we also get a little bit closer to March Madness, the NFL draft, everything like that. The combine just concluded last week as well, man. Let's start it off. I got a NFL related hot or not for you, just to sort of kick us off. A lot of rumors swirling combine time, man. A lot of smoke screens, whatnot. Is it a smoke screen? Is it not? It's to be determined, man. A lot of reports saying, the Browns might take Shador too, and now a lot of teams saying they wouldn't take Shador top 7. So, in your personal opinion, hot or not, Shador Sanders will be drafted outside of the top 5 in this year's draft.
Well, I would say that's not a hot take, like you mentioned, based on all the reports and everything I've been seeing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and, act like I've watched all of Shador Sanders' tape and interviewed him like all these teams have and can give you, great insight on the kind of person he is. But it seems like all the reports, everyone coming away from the combine, all the team meetings, teams saying, I heard a report from Tom McShay. They were saying, 2 teams in the top 6 that need a quarterback came away like Shador just really didn't care about how the other teams felt about him. So, I mean, if you're a quarterback trying to be one of those top picks, you would obviously want teams in the top to kind of, like you, or you would care how they feel about you. They're saying that, he kind of seemed like he didn't really care what the teams felt about him. Now, could this be smoke? It's always question marks around this time of year. You won't really know until the actual draft, but I think up to this point, the saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's been a lot of smoke around Shador Sanders' name. A lot of people saying he'll slip. Seeing a lot of mocks him number 8 to the Raiders. That's the spot. So, I mean, we'll see. The way things are shaping up, I definitely think there's a good chance that he does slip outside of the top 5 or top 8, whatever you said. But yeah, I think Shador Sanders could slip a little bit.
All right. This one's not really a hot or not for you, but saw something a few days ago, man, and sort of want to ask you about it. The Mavs, being 1 year removed from the NBA Finals, they get rid of their obvious franchise player, all these injuries, AD, now Kyrie, ACL out for the season. Kind of similar to the Phoenix Suns after their NBA Finals run just a few years, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago now, where they made it to the NBA Finals and they blew up some of those role players, not superstar like Luka Doncic, but got rid of that core team. And then the Suns have yet to really make a deep playoff run. They had that KD and Booker where they went off in the playoffs, I think last year, but it really wasn't anything to brag about. Who do you think will end up doing it worse? Was it the Suns, or do you think the future of this Mavericks team is probably worse off than the Suns over the past few years?
Damn, that's actually a good question. I agree with what you said. I think both of these teams are in pretty similar spots. I mean, the reports are right now that, this past NBA trade deadline, Suns are trying to shop away Kevin Durant. Now, apparently, Durant wasn't happy with that at all. So now they're saying, there's no chance Kevin Durant is on the Suns this next season. Coach coming out telling Devin Booker not to be so vocal in the huddles, like just weird stuff all around with that team. And then you look at the Dallas Mavericks, man, when it rains, it pours. You trade away Luka. AD plays his first game for you, looks amazing in the first half. Then he gets injured in the third quarter. Now Kyrie tears his ACL. He's out for the season. Both of your bigs behind Anthony Davis are down as well. It's just tough over there in Dallas. I would say this is tough. I would say that the Suns are ultimately in a worse spot. One, you look at the Bradley Beal contract, they're stuck with that, and they don't have any of their draft picks coming up. I think the Mavs have their pick for this season or next season. I'm not sure which one, but I do think they have some of their picks at least down the line. I know the Suns don't have any of their picks. They traded them all away for Kevin Durant. So yeah, Devin Booker is kind of like the only constant right now, it seems, on the Suns. Whereas you look at the Mavericks, like AD can get healthy. He was relatively healthy the last 2 seasons. He is getting up there in age, so you question that. But if everything goes perfect, he'll be back next season fully healthy. You'll have your two bigs back fully healthy. Hopefully Kyrie can rehab and he'll be back on that team. Whereas when you look at the Suns, like Kevin Durant's probably not going to be there. Bradley Beal is going to be there, someone you probably wouldn't want to be there. And they still don't have a point guard like outside of the big three on the Suns. Like there's really no one else. They got who? Your boy Grayson Allen, like Bol.
Well,
Like, I mean,
that's your favorite player of all time.
not much there to look for after those three guys. To whereas this, you look at the Mavs, they have some depth there. Even though Hardy, another depth player for them that just got injured last night as well. So that's a guy that could have had some potential. Maybe looks to step into a bigger role next season. He's out as well right now. So I think next year, Mavs just, pretty much shut this season down, chalk it up, and they try their best to get, the front court, all those big guys fully healthy, get Kyrie back. At this age, you probably wouldn't want to rush him off of an ACL, but you hopefully would get to see him back sometime next season and then go off of that. To whereas next year, you could be looking at the Suns rolling out Devin Booker and Bradley Beal as their, main two pieces, which I don't think you're not going nowhere with that.
Well, there's a highly likely chance it's either the Mavericks or the Suns in that last play-in spot, unless the Trailblazers, they also got a fighting shot. I wouldn't really say the Spurs are in the mix after Wemby goes down, but there's still a chance they could also make it. So those three teams, it's 2-game separation. No, excuse me, between the Mavericks and the Suns is a 3.5-game separation, and then 4 games with the Blazers from that 10 seed out there in the West. So you could see, one of those teams that we just talked about, the Mavericks or the Suns, and obviously, I'd rather take the chance with the unknown of the Dallas Mavericks, and what you know about the Suns right now currently is going to be hard to top, but both in a very similar boat for sure.
But, I mean, okay, if either one of those teams make the play-in, there's really no expectations for the Mavericks or Suns regardless either way.
No, but you still got, KD and Book combining for 80 in a playoff game, and they find a way to get into a series, maybe steal a game or two versus
so let's
the top
say
seed.
The Suns sneak in, they're that last seed.
It's
realistically,
still like last year, but
no, I'm saying realistically, what do you think the ceiling is for a playoff team, Phoenix Suns?
2 wins
in a play
the first round.
So including the
no, so playing would be 4,
including the play-in, or you think they could win the play-in
round, not the play-in.
So 2 wins in round 1 is their ceiling.
That's their ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going against Thunder right now, don't see them beating them. Lakers and Nuggets, I mean, if they somehow find a way to climb, or any of these teams find a way to climb, I don't see it. I could see them stealing 2 games, but it's going to take a lot from the Suns, which they might be able to squeak out 2 at best case scenario, but realistically, a gentleman's sweep is what you're looking at if they find a way into the playoffs. That's being generous, too. I could see them getting just swept, but
yeah, especially by OKC, their size, everyone back relatively healthy. SGA with another 50 ball. Thunder are rolling right now.
All right. Moving on. You got any things you want to talk about? Because I have one thing I want to talk about, but I'll say
Go ahead.
I don't know what the Miami Heat are doing. I told myself last week we wouldn't talk about them, but a 19-point lead to the New York Knicks in the third quarter. They find a way to lose the basketball game. I just don't get what's going on there in Miami. That fourth quarter is really atrocious. There's no true bucket getters that can't find a way to get stops. There's, Hero might have a good game, Bam might have a good game, but it's like fourth quarter, none of these guys could show up. Terry Rozier couldn't hit anything, including his bets at this point. If he was still betting on himself, he's probably missing those. He's definitely taking the under. Shot attempts, he's taking the over. Turnovers, he's taking the over. I just don't know what's going down there. For fourth quarter, blown leads and how many games they've been in command, and then you get the Knicks at home in a very comfortable game, a game you should close out when you're struggling below 500 and a chance to kind of move up in the playoff rankings, man. In the Eastern Conference standings, you have a chance to climb a little bit. Unable to do so. I believe they lost to the Hawks 2 games in a row. They lost. They were able to beat, the worst team in the league, the Washington Wizards, last night. With only 9 players, but still, they are the worst. They're worse than the Jazz. So, with that offseason coming up, it's going to be interesting to see what the Heat do. We know Pat Riley, I'm calling once again for the Arisons to get rid of him at this point in Pat Riley's career, because we need to go out and make some moves. This team got the core. It's just no Jimmy. We're severely missing something right now, and it shows fourth quarter down the stretch. None of these guys could play ball. Not a single one, man. It's bad. It's been probably a week before the All-Star break when they played good late game basketball, and it took overtime for them to win. So
you basically just saying the Heat are missing like that number one go-to guy, number one option down the stretch, like get you a bucket.
Hero has shown he's been able to get a bucket, but fourth quarter, it's been a struggle for the Heat. They get outscored. I think it was like 30-9 in the fourth quarter, something like that. You put up 9 points in a quarter. Obviously, 30 points, not ideal giving up, but this is modern day basketball. Teams put up 120 points a game. That's, fine putting up 30 defensively. Probably want to limit a little more, but 9 points in a quarter, you got to find a way to do better than that. And they're right now 4-6 in their last 10. Honestly, doesn't seem real. They should be like 2-10 in their last 10, but.
Well, listen, luckily for you, the Heat, man, it's always a free agent destination. At worst, there'll be 3 to 4 Pat big Riley names just linked to the Heat.
Just linked. That's about it. Will they ever come, man? I don't. Shout out Tyler Hero, man. I've thrown a lot of shade on him, but he withstood all the trade allegations, no matter what it was, back and forth. And he still says he wants to be bigger than D-Wade in Miami if he's possible, which, he's giving homage to the 305 legend. But his team they struggle. He's not a true ball handler. The point guards are lacking. Davion Mitchell has played some decent ball. Wiggins up and down, but it's like it's just nothing true on this team. Obviously, they're still trying to gel early on in their Heat careers, but yeah, they got to find a way. They got to find a way fourth quarter just to put up and create easy points, man. Transition buckets, which starts with getting a stop, which doesn't happen when another team's putting up 30 points. But help yourself out, get a stop, get some transition buckets, keep the flow of the game going, because they need all the easy buckets they can get with how they're scoring. So.
Would you say Bam has been disappointing this season? Because I'm not going to lie, bro. Like, watching him playing at the Olympics, like, he was stretching the floor, hitting threes, seemed to be playing the 4 nice next to Anthony Davis. Like, he looked really good, but he just doesn't seem like he's taking that next step here in the league.
It's up and down for Bam this year. I would like to see a little bit more consistency from him.
Yeah.
But, on the other hand, Bam is not a true 5, man. It's kind of like, what AD was calling for in LA, put him at the 4. Saw what he could do with the big man. Saw it in the Olympics, what he could do when he's playing that 4 position. Obviously, if you want to run a small ball lineup, he's able to do so. But game in, game out, you put Bam at the 4, I think it's a more deadly team. He could, sit in the corner. Obviously, floor spacing not ideal, but a lot of big men able to also shoot the, 3 ball as well. So I think if you get Bam a little big man help, and I've been saying this for the longest, which is, we got Ware, who is a little bit inconsistent. He's a young rookie, putting his game together, and when he does have good games, when they're out on the court together, which is very rare, but I like what I see. If Bam gets a little more time at the 4, ease it up, maybe down the stretch he could play the 5. But I want to see him at that 4 position a little bit more. Definitely. And obviously his consistency has always been a thing. Some games he looks very confident in his game, and other games he does not look as confident as, he should be, because when he gets it going, man, he could hoop, and he's one of the better big men in the league. So, yeah. That's all I got for the Miami Heat. They need to make something shake next year, because I don't think we'll be seeing them in a deep playoff run, that's for sure. All right. Moving on, man. I mean, I know we talked about the West a good bit last week. Keeping it on the Eastern Conference, man. Your boy Colin Coward. Before we even get into that, the Cavs down 26-3, 23-6. What was it? 26-3.
26-3, something like that.
23-3. Tatum told him to get the F out of there, and the Cavs came back and won. And you mentioned, the Celtics, they just want to get in the playoffs, get everybody healthy, but do you think that was sort of a statement win for the Cavs there the other night in Boston as well?
Well, I definitely think it is, especially, showing that resilience, sticking around, being down so big in a hostile environment, and just, hanging around, being able to play with those guys. I definitely think it's a big win. It means a lot for the Cavs, for a younger team currently ascending. This is their first time ever in the history of the Cleveland Cavaliers being this good without LeBron on their team. So this is like uncharted territory for the Cavaliers.
It's better than they were 50-10.
Well, I'm just talking about like being good without having LeBron. Like this has never happened for a Cleveland team. So I definitely think that's a big win. But, I mean, if I'm the Celtics, yes, I'm concerned that I would like to see, the team close out better than that. But ultimately, we all know how playoff basketball gets, man. Like, you could have one win, but can you win those 4 games in a 7-game series? I think the Celtics have a lot more experience, some veteran players, guys who have just played a bunch of playoff basketball compared to this Cavs team. So, I mean, if you see a matchup with the Cavs and Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, I wouldn't be surprised, if the Cavs take the Celtics to, 6 or 7 games. Ultimately, depending on how things are going, maybe you would lean the Celtics because they have that, experience. They've been in those big moments to where the Cavs never really been there, kind of like what we were talking about last year for the OKC Thunder, whereas even though they didn't win against the Mavs, they got that experience. SGA kind of showed that he can produce on the biggest stage in the bigger moments. Now, you look at what OKC was able to come in and do this year. They definitely taken that next step. And now, number 1 seed in the West, super, super dominant, favorites to win the finals, Shea MVP favorite. You look at the Cavs, I think they could do something maybe similar to what the Thunder did last year, to where I definitely do think they can make a run in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they make the Eastern Conference Finals, especially just because the East isn't as deep. But in a matchup with the Cavaliers, I would slightly lean Boston Celtics just because of that experience. We've seen those guys produce in the big moments. How many times, me and you, especially watching all these Heat games, like Derek White, like he just steps up in the biggest moments. Porzingis, we've seen him, play super, super well when it matters the most. Al Horford, he's open in the corner, hits like a big 3, and then we know what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are able to do in the playoffs. And you look at this Cavs team, they have some nice players, but they're still relatively young in terms of playoff success. Donovan Mitchell, we know he's been able to have some really big games, but that was on the Utah Jazz. He hasn't really done it for Cleveland yet. And then you look at guys like Mobley, Darius Garland. These are super young players who haven't really, proven anything yet in the playoffs. So I think this year could be one of those years where the Cavs get that playoff experience under their belt. They kind of understand what the playoff atmosphere is like, and then maybe next year or in the years to come, we see them go on a bigger run, and they keep that team together, and maybe they can win a championship down the line. But I don't know. I think it's different than what the Mavs were last year because the Mavs kind of came out of nowhere, upset, a couple of teams. I mean, the Maverick, it kind of, once the Nuggets lost to the Timberwolves, it was like, okay, now we kind of see a way for this Mavericks teams to reach the finals. But going into the playoffs, I don't think anyone had the Mavericks winning the West. Like, that just wasn't something that was well thought of or feasible. But for the Cavs, I think it's a little different here in the East. I think there's a real chance to where you could see them making the Eastern Conference Finals, and I mean, they just have to beat the Celtics, which is possible, but I would probably lean Boston in that series. Like, if you go through all these other teams, like, who else poses a real threat? Like, the Knicks. Knicks are a good team, but they've just shown that they can't beat any of the top teams, not consistently. The Bucks, Giannis, maybe if he, like, flips a switch and we see vintage Giannis and Dame goes back to playing like he was in Portland, maybe, but they don't really have a lot of pieces around them. And then once you get past the top five, I mean, the Pacers, they're not really going to do anything.
I like the Pistons over the Pacers right now. The Pistons, they're a fun team to watch, man.
Yeah, the Pistons are playing fun, and shout out Mike Beasley, leads the league in three-pointers made. But, I mean, you can't sit here and say, yeah, I can see the Pistons going to the Eastern Conference Finals, like not this early on with that team. So I think the Cavs and the Celtics are and outside, the Cavs and the Celtics are definitely the two favorites. I think those two are definitely the two teams you would want to see going to the finals and coming out of the East. And then outside of them, I think the Knicks and the Bucks have like a outside chance. But other than that, I think it's hard. I think a lot of these teams in the East are limited. And you start going down, like you can't really – I don't think there's a way. To where last year, the Mavericks were what? Like the 6th seed, I believe, right?
Yeah, something
5th or 6th or something like that, and they ended up making the finals. So, or maybe they were the 4th, but regardless, they weren't like the top 1 or 2 seeds. So, but I mean, going over to the West, like I think it's still just so much crazier compared to what the East is looking at. Whereas, like Thunder, easily you can make a case for them. Lakers, they keep playing the way. Luka keeps playing the way he is, and LeBron turning back the clock, playing defense. Lakers could make the finals. Like Nuggets, we all know what Jokic and Murray can do. Grizzlies, I don't know. Grizzlies are tough, man. Like Ja Morant never plays. Jaren Jackson Jr. is banged up.
Yeah, I think I just saw a report about Jaren Jackson. I forget what it was, but don't think it was promising from what I remember earlier today.
The Rockets are like a really good young team. The Warriors are interesting with Jimmy and Curry, Draymond. I think there's really something there. Clippers, if Kawhi can somehow, turn the clock back to 2019, can he still carry a team? Like, I don't know, but I think in terms of top-tier talent, I think the West is still definitely better right now than the East.
Oh, 100% agree with that take. No doubt, but and don't sleep on the Cavs, man. I'm gonna rock with them. Just because why not? I just don't want to see the Celtics and the Knicks in the East. That's the two things I don't want to see. So,
I mean,
Cavs,
I like the Cavs.
I'm
The Cavs are a
with
good
it.
team. It's just they don't
Shout
have the
out
playoff
DG,
experience.
Man. Yeah. You're sleeping on Mitchell, man. He was that one Mike Conley 3 away from making a bubble run out there in Utah before he came over to Cleveland, obviously.
Yeah, that was what, like him versus Jamal Murray in the bubble. They both had like 50
going
pointers or something like
crazy,
that.
yeah.
Like they both went off. Yeah, I remember that.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, your boy Colin Coward, man. You love him so much. You got any takes on him saying Jason Tatum has no aura? That's how slow it is that we got to come to talk about this, I guess.
I mean, is he lying, bro? Like,
No, I just
Tatum hasn't been on that good of a run in these past couple games. I mean, got airballed that 3, blew the league, told the Cavs to get the fuck out.
bruh.
Ended up losing that lead. Got dropped by
Oh yeah,
Asir Thompson. Like,
He was on skates.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I've been saying this, man. Jason Tatum's not good. He's good, but he's not as good as top 5 in the league, in my opinion. But another trending topic is Joel Embiid has played his last game in Philadelphia. That's what they've been saying, man. Is the Joel experiment over? I mean, people were saying that the Sixers gave Joel more time than Luka ever got in Dallas, and like doubled the time. And Joel's still, the process is at an end. I mean, I wouldn't say it's finished.
I mean, before, especially coming off of the Olympics and watching how he played, like, the 76ers, I don't know why they gave Joel Embiid an extension. Like, I understand he wanted to play the Olympics, and that's a really big thing, and that means a lot to him. But, yo, a player like Joel Embiid, like, I know it sounds sad, bro, but, like, the last thing he needs is to be playing basketball. Like, he doesn't need more basketball, bro. So if I'm the Sixers, I would not have given him that extension, bro. I would let him play it out. I think he still had, like, 2 or 3 more years left on his deal. Instead, the Sixers go ahead, sign him to that extension, and now, you know, there's reports coming out saying, is there a way they can get him to, like, medically retire so they don't have to pay him the rest of that contract? They can void it. Like, it's just bad, man. When you're that big and all, you know, he's had these injuries since Kansas. Like, it was a thing. You knew how bad it was. It's pretty much plagued him his whole career. And it's tough, man, when those big men get in the, you know, once they hit their 30s, man, it's like 28, 29, 30, around there, you just start to see their bodies deteriorate. They're just not able to move that much at that size. And, you know, it's sad because Joel Embiid, when he's at his prime, we saw how good he could be, you know, MVP Embiid. But it's tough, man. Like, and then coming into the season, the Sixers were like, yeah, we have this whole plan for Joel Embiid. We're going to be so good. It's like, yeah, what's the plan? And he's just not going to play basketball. He's not playing back-to-backs. We're going to load manage him, like, even more than what we've already been doing. It was just super weird. I don't really understand what the Sixers were doing. Like, if you knew it was that bad coming into the season, like, why would you even try to rush him back? Why would you even try to play him? You should have just, you know, shut him down the entire season. I understand they thought, you know, Paul George was there, so he'd be the answer, but this is what they signed him for. It's like, okay, if Embiid's out, we have Paul George. He can help carry with Maxey and our young guys, but Paul George has been arguably even more disappointing than Joel Embiid. So, I mean, it's kind of like they're back to where they were last year with Joel Embiid out. Now it's just Tyrese Maxey and who else. So, very tough spot for the 76ers. Very disappointing season. Some questionable things being done over there in that organization, especially regarding Joel Embiid's health and just pretty much everything else. Like, I mean, injuries, this is another team. Injuries just killed him. I mean, Jared McCain looked like he was going to be Rookie of the Year. He was hooping earlier on.
He was.
He has that season-ending injury, I believe, like tore his meniscus or something. Paul George apparently sprained something wrong with his finger, but, you know, that doesn't prove why he's been so bad on a basketball court in terms of, like, moving and running wise. But now he's got something with the back. Embiid, Maxey, I think he just tweaked his ankle or something. He's going to miss a couple games. So it's just like, in the 76ers team is another team where injuries just kind of just took over, really, really hindered their hopes. I mean, coming into the season, we thought everyone fully healthy. We thought this Sixers team was going to be one of those teams competing and contending in the East. And unfortunately, with everything going on over there, it just hasn't gone that way. But, I mean, at least the Eagles won the Super Bowl. That's pretty much all they have to look forward to over there in Philly right now.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr., he's week to week with an ankle sprain. You got any more basketball NBA talk? Anything you want to discuss?
I mean, that's it. I just think it's interesting in terms of the West right now between the Lakers and the Nuggets are like in that race for that number 2 seed. LeBron and Luka have been playing really, really well together. Nuggets just lost the other day to the Celtics on the road. Tough game, but I don't think anyone's gonna catch the Thunder in the West. I don't think the Cavs are gonna be caught either. So I think the number one seeds are pretty much locked down, but it'll be interesting to see in the West whether it's be the Lakers or the Nuggets, depending on how that shapes out. What matchups could we possibly see? But it's that time of year, man. You know, crunch time, a few weeks away from the playoffs, so basketball is definitely ramping up. But yeah, I think the Lakers. Luka started off a little slow. I know you were on the podcast saying it. Everyone was saying it, like, give him time, let him get fully healthy. He missed 2 months of basketball. It seemed like he's back in rhythm. He's back playing great again. It's like every single game, there's always a highlight of Luka full court pass to LeBron. It happens every single game. Like, it's like Moss to Brady or Brady to Moss.
Wade to LeBron back in 2013.
Facts. So, I mean, this Lakers team is really fun now. Down the stretch, they got some questions in terms of, you know, big man, but in terms of size and being able to guard people, I think
apparently defensively they're a better team right now than they were before.
Well, because now LeBron can play actual defense. LeBron has been a lot better on defense. To whereas, you know, when he had Anthony Davis and the offensive load was all on LeBron focused all on offense. To whereas now he has Luka who can carry majority of the load, and even Austin Reeves, he stepped up big time on offense. LeBron can kind of pick his spots now on offense and be more of a physical force and be more, you know, of a presence on the defensive side of the ball to kind of make up for not having that big man. So we all know how good LeBron is. His basketball IQ, he can pretty much play anywhere. So I think that's really, really helped him in terms of he doesn't have to exert himself so much on the offensive side of the ball. He can just kind of use his size, grab boards, play defense, and get out in transition. That's what he's been doing, mainly playing with Luka and Reeves and having those guys handle the ball majority of the time. And Bron just kind of being like a true wing now, which is kind of crazy to say because our entire lives, we've just seen LeBron be the ball dominant point guard. Like everything runs through him. Now he's kind of taking a step back, letting Luka, who's obviously the better player at this point in his career, run the offense and LeBron kind of be the sidekick. So it's interesting to see LeBron's game kind of evolve up to where it is right now.
You just discussed Philly. I had to bring it up real quick. Any comments on the Saquon Barkley contract extension? 2 years, $41 million, 36 guaranteed for your boy Saquon in a career year this year.
Yeah, I mean, $20 million guaranteed. I believe he becomes the highest paid running back in NFL history.
36 guaranteed.
Or 36.
Average annual 20. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, the year he just had pretty much carried this offense. Arguably the best season ever for a running back. Like, why not reward him?
All right, man. March Madness, March 20th, which won't be next week, but Selection Sunday is the 16th. So 2 weeks from now, it'll be set in stone. Conference play, I believe, is going to start probably by the time we start recording the conference play. We'll be going down. College basketball, man. Duke last night was chanting Cooper Flag for one more year. He did say he wanted to stay. Don't think anyone's going to let that one happen. Being a solidified number 1 overall pick in the draft, they were saying he doesn't want to go like to the Blazers or to the Wizards. Like he just wants to stay at college so he doesn't have to play for them. But thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, can you blame him, bro?
No.
Although the Trailblazers have showed a little bit of life. You mentioned they're fighting for that last playing spot. They got some pieces there. Now the Wizards, on the other hand, I can completely understand why you don't want to go play for the Washington Wizards. That I get, but the Trailblazers, I think, Scoot Henderson, he's taking a little step forward. Mm-hmm. Shaden Sharp, he always has like a highlight dunk every other game. He's just dunking everywhere, all over everyone. Simons, they got a couple of Klingon, another big man. He's a rookie this year. Like they got a couple pieces to where if you add Cooper Flag, they wouldn't be terrible. Not like the Wizards.
No, not at all.
Him and Jordan Poole.
I'll tell you what, man. They probably, never mind. Yeah, I can't wait. March Madness, Cinderella story time. That time of the year, probably the best time for basketball, in my opinion. Can't wait for it. Kentucky looking good, man. Calipari in Arkansas is a little weird. He's got him playing some good ball. SEC's looking pretty good. Obviously, the Big 12. Florida's looking pretty dominant. And I believe, was it Kentucky that just lost the other night? I think so.
I'm not sure. I know Duke played, was that earlier today, I think.
They blew someone out last night. I think it was last night.
Or last night, yeah.
And we're playing anyone. Yeah, not too sure. I think it was Kentucky. And it was like, I think it was Auburn beat Kentucky, if I'm correct. And
Auburn's like the number 1 team in the nation, I believe.
Oh, then nah, I don't know, man. It's Kentucky.
I'm pretty sure Auburn's like number 1, number 2 team in the nation right now.
But you got Kentucky LSU game either coming up. But regardless, man, NCAA Tourney March Madness. It's time. Get ready. Next week we'll have a little bit of
bracket.
Of course. So you think anyone's ever gonna hit?
Let me guess. You got UCF going all the way.
UCF won't even be in it. They're not touching. They went from the last team in to just losing straight games after they got, I forget who they were playing, a little road game. Ranked Big 12 matchup. I forget who against. Down the stretch, didn't get a couple calls, and I say this every year, man. Every time I watch UCF basketball, they fail to get a rebound, man. They go to this 2-3 zone because they just get beat in the man-to-man game, and they go to that 2-3 zone, you get some long rebounds out there. The big man's just out-rebounded. Guy comes free, not being boxed out in the zone. And you know how it gets in that 2-3 zone. Tougher to rebound. Don't have a man on the body, so pause. But, yeah, you just can't ever grab a board. And last chance to use not working out for him. Mikey Williams will have, like, a decent game. And they got a couple good guards. Hall, very solid. Yeah, they couldn't put it together down the stretch and ended up losing some should be win games. But in the Big 12, man, everybody's a very good team, very talented conference in terms of hoops. So they're out of it once again, but not a shocker. Hopefully they can build on it, get some big names, not even big names, get some good players in there. Hopefully a big man. I haven't seen him grab – I was saying it the other night. I haven't seen him grab a rebound since Taco Fall.
Taco Fall.
Yeah. But – you got any last comments, takes, anything like that, man?
No, man, that's pretty much it. NBA season heating up.
Go to Go, episode 127. Go to Go pod on TikTok. Go to Go everything else, man. Until next week, we'll be back with another episode. Peace.